Kia ora everyone, my name's Zach. I love rugby. Welcome back to Hakatime Rugby. Guys, dominant performance from the All Blacks. I'd describe that as a professional display from a good team leading into a Rugby World Cup final now. Fantastic performance from the All Blacks. They really did not give Argentina really any sniff other than sort of the early exchanges where Argentina had some great success there early. So I'm going to cover a review of the match now. And stay tuned for those that are sort of interested in how the All Blacks might play in the final. Because I do see a number of clues here that I think are going to be relevant to either the Springboks or England ultimately in that final. So the score finishes 44 points to 6. And as I mentioned, I felt like Argentina actually had the early exchanges. They seemed to be dominant in terms of winning the collision, really good in the breakdown as well. I thought Issa and Kremer, both with ball in hand as well as disruption at the breakdown, actually played really, really well. And in the early exchanges, it was all Argentina. They were dominating territory at that point. They had possession, and the All Blacks did what they showed they can do against Ireland, and it is defend for long stretches, be patient, and trust your defensive system. So before the tournament, there was a lot made about the lack of line speed from the All Blacks defensive system, and the All Blacks have always had sort of more of a drift defense. But what we're seeing here is them largely build on that. They've narrowed the field in terms of where they position their players in defense, and then they back their edges to defend on the wings. What you'll see is more of a pendulum-style defense from Beauden Barrett. He seems to be the last line of the defense on the wing, and the winger himself is actually pushed in one man closer. The way they cover that from fullback perspective is Mo'unga drops back, or the other players, Aaron Smith drops back. So they're developing a style which is a lot more drift-based rather than rush defense-based, and it allows teams to, it invites teams to attack on the widths. What we saw here, however, was because of that defense, Argentina just weren't able to make any inroads. And the early exchanges were really dominated by Argentina, but it was the All Blacks who ultimately came up with points, scoring early. We're seeing another trend here that the All Blacks are not allowing teams to score within the first 20 minutes. So I think the last time that a team scored on them in the first 20 minutes was somewhere back in, it might have been the Springboks actually, in London. So during this tournament, really, really good defensive improvements from the All Blacks, and I think that's going to be a huge key to them playing in that final. Now, one moment that I wanted to highlight, because this was really kind of closer in the early exchanges. You can see at this point, the score is 12 points to 3, right, to Argentina. Argentina are under a penalty advantage. Now, who you can see here is Montoya is coming in. Montoya is coming in to grab the ball. And then we've got Jordie Barrett here defending. Once again, the last line of defense here is none other than Jordie Barrett. And then soon after that play, the All Blacks get the ball scramble and it comes out the back, right? So the end outcome of this play is that, the All Blacks do not concede a try. Jordie Barrett again comes up with a defensive effort, and Argentina take the 3. This eventually goes out to 15-3, but what I thought was really, really impressive from this point is that the All Blacks closed it out. Right? They closed out this game in this next passage of sort of 10, 15 minutes. And what they did was, just before halftime, there was a moment inside the All Blacks half where they decided to, obviously they got a penalty there, they decided to take the scrum. Sorry, it was a free kick. They took the scrum, they kicked the ball for territory, they won the line out, right? And then ultimately they were able to press their advantage and score a try just before halftime. All of the most dangerous All Blacks teams have done exactly that. Scored just before halftime and just after halftime. Come the second half, and again the All Blacks score just after halftime, and it was Shannon Frizzell who got his first of 2 tries there on the 42nd minute. So from this moment, which is the 32nd minute, until the 42nd minute, the score blows out with 2 tries. An additional 12 points to the All Blacks, so it's 27 points to 6. So they go from 12 points to 3 to 27 points to 6 in the space of a 10-minute period. That was the winning of the game. It was very comfortable from that point. The All Blacks decided to roll the changes. I thought that was some interesting dynamics there as well, but it gave an opportunity for players to be rested. Will Jordan becomes the highest try scorer in the Rugby World Cup, scoring 3 tries. Fantastic from him. If we look at the rotations, though, however, you can see here all the forwards pretty much got a rest. Shannon Frizzell did play a full game, but he is one player that has, obviously through injuries, hasn't played a huge amount of rugby during the tournament. So I thought they're managing minutes really well in the lead up to a final. And if we just track down some of the players that came on, Yeah, the full bench got a run, all introduced by the 65th minute, and great rotation policy there from the All Blacks. Beauden Barrett getting a rest is a good thing, so good to see him come off and get a break. I thought they could have taken Artie Savia off. I thought he needed a rest. I thought it might have been a better option to take Scott Barrett off rather than Sam Whitelock. Sam Whitelock is ultimately going to fill that role of coming in off the bench in a final. Scott Barrett is going to play big minutes, so I thought he might have come off. We might have avoided that yellow card. That'll be a concern for the All Blacks because yet again, Scott Barrett gives away an unnecessary penalty and also a yellow card. In the big moments, that could be crucial. Discipline has been a challenge for these All Blacks, but ultimately the game was wrapped up at this point, so no real impact to that outcome. The other thing we need to talk about is Richie Mo'unga's kicking. I think he kicked at 50% in the end, which is really, really poor by his high standards. What I will say, though, and we saw this against Ireland, is a lot more of the kicking was shared in that game against Ireland. So we saw Geordie Barrett taking some of the longer kicks for penalties. We saw Geordie Barrett taking some of the sideline kicks, particularly from the right-hand side. There's a lot more sharing of the kicking that I'm noticing with the All Blacks, and, that's a better outcome for the big games. You're using the right person for the right type of kick, rather than centralising it all around either halfback or first five. So we'll have to keep an eye out on that. Other big moments, the line-out success for the All Blacks has been fantastic. 48 from 49 coming into this game. They did give up one line-out, though, in the first half, and at that point, the game is still in the balance. So for them to give up a line-out, they won't be happy with that. They've now lost 2 line-outs through the course of this World Cup, which is still a fantastic record, but, it's something that just shows that there was a little bit of complacency here with that yellow card and with that giving up that line-out. The scrum was very, very dominant, however, so that'll please them in the lead up to either the English or the South African scrum, both who have fantastic scrums, and the Maul, obviously, as well, worked very, very well, able to generate a number of penalties, and they kept going to it as well, so great stuff there. All in all, a great performance by the All Blacks, right? They come in now confident. They come in having, worked on a number of crucial areas, as I mentioned, around their defensive systems, structures. They look composed in defense. And you know what? I think they're going to be really difficult to beat in the final. But let's see, because we know that the likes of the Springboks have every single trick in the book. And obviously English have proved that, in the big games, they can come up with something special to down the All Blacks. So it's all to play for left, guys. I'm really fascinated by how the next semi-final goes. And stick with me for the preview. Those who remember my previews during the 2019 World Cup remember that, I went quite in depth and I actually came up with the winner in the end when a lot of people were not picking South Africa to win. I came up with South Africa as the eventual winner. I'm going to apply the same analysis, a number of preview shows in the lead up to that final to ultimately determine who is going to win. I hope you enjoyed that game and I hope you enjoyed that review, guys. If you did, please hit like, subscribe to the channel, and I will see you in the next one.